Debjani is a renowned international speaker, a public speaker, and her new book, Unleashing the Power of Diversity, it's great.
You know, standing here at this moment, it's sort of a surreal moment for me, because 2.5 years ago, I was at a crossroads. You may have noticed that I also have a picture of my father, because my father, he's no more, but he is one of the reasons I'm standing here. My son, who has been such a huge part of this book and this whole journey, he actually asked me a very critical question. I've been talking about writing a book for a long, long time. And he asked me, what are you waiting for? And I did not have a compelling reason. So it was 320 pages I wrote. And then my 82-year-old mother said, no one is that fond of books as you are. So maybe we'll shoot for some kind of a book that's within 200 pages. And then my editors, a little less bluntly, said, it's a little overwhelming to have 300 plus pages. And so now here you have the shortened version, 218 pages. I would get an idea for some of the concepts in the book, the 5 judgments, or the diversity foray. And I would get up at midnight and I would type for 4 hours with zero fatigue. And so many times, every time I speak, someone says, I have a book in me. Several of you in the audience I have seen have a book in you. And so my question is, what are you waiting for? If you can get one idea, if you can get one concept, and it doesn't have to be a book, it could be poetry, it could be art, but just that creative thing that we stop ourselves. I was reading an article about how we become unstoppable. And I think there's something very key in that becoming unstoppable. Most often we get in our own way, right? And so I wanted to tell you some of the reasons I wrote this book. I have always been different. I finished high school at 15, and at 16 I was in IIT engineering school in India, and there was me and 39 boys. And I experienced what diversity felt like for the first time. And ever since then, as an Asian working in North American work area, I believe that diversity is non-negotiable. I was speaking at a keynote last month at a global technology company. And there was this guy, and he asked a really good question. What are the costs of diversity? We cannot have work groups which are all men versus all women. We cannot have work groups which are all people from one particular culture. We cannot have work groups with all the assertive people together and all the quiet people. We just can't do it. And so diversity is here to stay. Not handling diversity well is illogical. Why? Think about a time where someone said something that was a small thing and that hurt you deeply. And they hurt you because you did or said something that was a little bit different. Are you so upset because someone made you feel a little smaller that you could not focus on work? And to me, that is the business impact of diversity, is it allows us to cut through the clutter and to get directly to the work at hand. So one of the premises, one of the frameworks in the book, the 5 judgments. And the 5 judgments has to do with stereotyping. And the first judgment is reputational currency, or what we call buzz. The whole process of me standing here in Barnes & Noble, it's surreal to me. 2.5 years ago, these were ideas in my head. But there was one buyer in New York of Barnes & Noble who read the book and liked it. Suddenly the book means more because of the reputational currency or the buzz around it. Is the book better than it was before the buyer chose it? Absolutely not. But it's because of reputational currency that so much gets done. And the interesting thing, the cultural context of that, is that we don't understand what a person's buzz is or reputational currency is. We fill in some blanks. So when I was filling out application, professor at UT Dallas, who said to me, if you put out an application with the word Debjani, people will make an assumption that that means you don't know how to speak English well. So if you're looking for a job, why don't you fill out a resume application and say Deb Biswas? So first of all, I had this strong reaction here, right? And I felt it, and every pore of my being was against that. It was like, this is so unfair. The judgments aren't about being fair or unfair. It's about recognizing what really happens. So that's the whole idea of the 5 judgments, is to make the unseen seen. So that's the other piece of it. My son, Nikith, has been a huge part of this journey. He was one of the editors. He's designed the cover, which, don't you think, just a nice job that he's done. One of the questions that he keeps asking me, the question is, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And then my second question is, what are you waiting for?